Hi, it's Congresswoman Jan Schakowsky. I'm back again with my pans and plans. I want to talk to you about vaccines, and I'm going to do my best to get all the information right because there's a lot of new information and there's a lot of improvements. I hope you're one of those who has been able to get a vaccine. I was able to do a tour of the Displays Super Site, which is doing 2,300 a day. It was amazing, actually. This is run by Cook County Health, and the vaccine availability has been pretty good. I'm hoping that will hold true for this week and next week as well. But when I was there, they showed me around where the vaccines are held. The logistics are just amazing. And I talked to some people there who said until then, when they were getting their vaccine, they had been so frustrated trying to make all those calls. So there's been improvement on that front. The state of Illinois now has a hotline number, and I'm going to give it to you. It was 833-621-1284. Toll free, 833-621-1284. It's got the TTY, it's TTY ready. That's for people with hearing disabilities to be able to call, and it's open 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to midnight. So wherever you're trying to get a date to go get your shot, you can call that number and get an appointment. I also wanted to tell you about some new news coming from Cook County and then also from the city of Chicago. Starting on Monday in the county, what you will see is it is 1B plus, and that will include a greater number of frontline workers. It will include Evanston and Skokie, which had been not able to go there because they have their own health departments, but now Evanston and Skokie can go, and you could go to Displays. Also in Cook County, it will be available to people with serious health conditions that are 16 years old and older. Moving on to Chicago, there is something new coming. On Monday, March 29th, there are going to be additional workers that are covered, and that would include some industrial workers like construction people, bankers, higher education, K-12 is already covered, transportation, as well as everyone over 16 years old with qualified health conditions. I wanted to tell you what's going on more locally. I mean, that is in the state of Illinois. It's pretty good news right now. The 7-day average for new cases has been 1,656 and 24 deaths a day. But you should know that in December, we were seeing 174 deaths a day and around 9,000 new cases per day. So the President of the United States has been doing a pretty good job when it comes to the delivery of vaccines. You know, the President had set a goal of 100 million shots over 100 days. But in fact, we in 58 days actually reached that mark of 100 million shots. So we are moving along, and let's just hope we have enough supply to keep that up. You know that we did the American Rescue Act. I want to tell you that I think I told you last week how absolutely thrilled I am about them. I hope that those people who have direct deposit have seen your $1,400 per person check. It's really important, I think, to remind people of that. It's not per family, but it's actually per person, including children in the household. So it could, be a fair amount of money that can help people pay rent, make sure that we can put food on the table. It's better than last time when we only provided $600 per child. The other thing I just want to always keep mentioning is that this bill has been estimated by Columbia University to be able to cut in half child poverty. How amazing is that? And this is supported by economists who think this is actually a good thing for our economy to help bring things back. I wanted to tell you that we've been passing a lot of great bills. H.R. 1, which would deal with voter suppression in our country. H.R. 4, also with voting rights and enhancing our democracy. We passed important immigration bill for our dreamers called the Dream and Promise Act, one after another of really fantastic legislation. But we can't do it with a 51 vote margin in the Senate. And so there have been serious discussions right now, a robust debate among Democrats and our Democratic leaders, including the President of the United States and Chuck Schumer, and even some previously reluctant Democrats in the Senate, that we have to do something about the filibuster, which requires 60 votes in order to pass a bill. Now, I want you to think about the Senate in general and really how undemocratic it is. When you've got Illinois or California that has 2 senators, and then think about Idaho and Utah also having 2 senators, that it's not the one person, one vote kind of thing that we have and a really democratic institution. But to add insult to injury, when you then on top of it say it takes 60 votes to pass a bill, most bills, not confirmation of Supreme Court justices, the Republicans were happy to change that to a majority vote, then we have to do something about the filibuster. And I think we're going to see that happen in order for us to really move forward in this country to make our democracy stronger, to help more people. And so hopefully that is actually going to happen. Well, this week we had a real tragedy brought to us by a white supremacist and by way of gun violence. And by the way, the shooter, and we're talking now of 6 identified Asian descent women who were killed, and 2 others who were murdered as well. And the shooter had bought the gun earlier that day because in Georgia there is no waiting period. Now, we have passed in the House a waiting period, and also that you have to have a background check for every gun purchase. But so far, that legislation has not passed the Senate. So there has been this huge uptick of people being harassed and spat upon. And actually in New York, we know that there was also a man who was stabbed in New York's Chinatown. There have been 3,800 cases of attacks on people of Asian descent since March 20th, and that's a record number, and women are in the majority of those. 35% of these attacks were targeted at Asian-owned businesses, and in Illinois, 92 of the 3,800 incidents occurred here in our state. Of course, it's not the only ethnic groups or religious groups that are under attack, but this is a huge uptick. Why? Because let's remember that Donald Trump called this the Asian pandemic. And so there's a certain blame game going on that somehow anybody who looks like they are Asian in any way, from any country, are now being attacked. Horrible. So we are moving along on that. The investigation is still going on, and everyone who does commit these crimes has to be held accountable. Post office update. It's getting better. I have to tell you, even one day last week, we had no complaints. I hope you're among those that are seeing an improvement. There has been an influx of new carriers who have been not knocking on doors, but delivering to all the doors. There are still jobs available. These are good jobs. These are union jobs. They're well-paying. So, if you can take the walk, then you ought to apply for those jobs. But we still have problems with the Postmaster General, Louis DeJoy, who was, of course, appointed by Donald Trump in order to undermine the U.S. mail service. And he's been doing a pretty good job, and unfortunately is really still at it. We know that that 3 members to the Board of Governors for the Postal Service have been appointed now by Joe Biden. That's a good thing. But there are 10, and the others are DeJoy people. And so I signed onto a letter that is asking the President of the United States to make more appointments and to just get rid of DeJoy as the Postmaster General in the United States. The effort continues to undermine our Postal Service. So be sure and contact us if you are still having problems. We want to know. We have answered every single complaint that has come to us, and we know how important getting your mail. It could be your pills that you need, your medications that you need to be well. So be sure and contact us. So I want to talk to you about Medicare for all. You need to know that I have been a supporter of making sure that health care, quality, affordable health care, is a right for all Americans, as it is for most developed countries and undeveloped countries as well around the world. And it's been one of the reasons that has really drawn me to public service in the beginning. And when I was running for state representative in 1990, the district included Evanston and Skokie, and I was in favor of what we called at the time single-payer healthcare system. Really, that's Medicare for all. And it became an issue in the campaign, and Roger Stone became a player in that. You may remember he was pardoned for all the dirty tricks and illegal things that he had done. He was pardoned by President Trump because he was still at it all these years later. He got involved in this race. I was running against the Republican mayor, a really nice woman, Joan Barr, was my opponent at that race. So Roger Stone initiated a mailing on behalf of my opponent that looked very official and said, Medicare cancellation notice. And it was sent to all the seniors in the district and scared the hell out of them. Now, of course, a Medicare for All program would have done nothing of the sort. So we ended up having a press conference with lots of seniors who said that this was simply not true. And, history tells the story. I did win that election and continue on to Congress, where I have been a supporter of all the improvements of the Affordable Care Act and helped to write the Affordable Care Act, but hoping ultimately to get to Medicare, quality, affordable health care for everyone. We introduced that bill once again, reintroduced it this week in the Congress. I think one of the things that the COVID pandemic has shown is the disparity about availability of health care, and that for many people, between the deductibles and the co-payments, even if they so-called have insurance, they really can't afford to use it, and many people are going without in this richest country in the world. With Medicare for All, you don't lose your health care if you lose your job. It would be affordable for everyone. You would pay less for prescription drugs. You'd be able to choose your own doctor. And so it would be a godsend, I think, for the United States of America to adopt that. We have legislation. You can check it out. The Medicare for All bill. And I'd love to hear from you what you think about that. And finally, I want to talk to you once again about Women's History Month and focus on Carol Mosley Braun, the first woman of color, the first Black woman to serve as a United States Senator. I was very active in her campaign. She was born in Chicago in 1947 and graduated from the University of Illinois in Chicago, UIC. Received her law degree from the University of Chicago. And so she is a born and bred Chicagoan. In the 1970s, Carol Braun served as a prosecutor in the U.S. Attorney's Office. So Carol Mosley Braun also served in the Illinois House of Representatives, and then she was the Recorder of Deeds in Cook County. But in 1992, with the help of women in the Chicagoland area who tried to convince her to do it, Carol Mosley Braun ran for the United States Senate. You may remember the time, or if you're not old enough, when Clarence Thomas was the nominee. And in many ways, he was sexually inappropriate with Anita Hill, who worked for him. Anita Hill testified against him for the things that he had said to her. But unfortunately, Alan Dixon, our senator at the time, supported Clarence Thomas. And I remember when people were calling his office and protesting, he had actually shut the phones down. People couldn't even reach him. So there was a lot of support in a three-way primary at the time for Carol Mosley Braun, and she won that election. She was the first Black woman ever to serve in the United States Senate. And guess who was the second? That was Kamala Harris. And now there's none. So we haven't had enough diversity, but fortunately, Carol Mosley Braun made that happen, and forever she will be known for breaking that glass ceiling. So we're very proud of her, and I think the women in Illinois felt empowered by seeing her in the United States Congress. I wanted to make sure that I made note that on March 22nd, it's a celebration of World Water Day. And you know, we are so fortunate to be on Lake Michigan, to be near Lake Michigan. And the Great Lakes make up 20% of the world's surface fresh water. And we certainly have to protect that. That's been one of my missions. And you know that the lake levels are really high right now. Some of you really know it personally because it has been lapping at your back door or your front door for a while now. And so we are looking at the kind of legislation that we need to continue to protect the Great Lakes and to work with the Army Corps of Engineers to make sure that we're doing everything we can to keep them pure and clean and safe, and that we deal with the issue of the high levels of water. So I wanted you to know, this is a request from the Sierra Club, They are going to hold an event to discuss lake issues on Monday with local experts from the Field Museum and the Shedd Aquarium and two other treasures that we have in Chicago. So I encourage you all to visit the website of the Sierra Club. It will be a virtual event that you could attend. So check it out and join in the efforts to make sure that we are always doing the right thing for our waterways, especially Lake Michigan. Thanks so much, and I will see you next week. Thank you for watching my video. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, where my handle is @Jan Schakowsky.